Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Parenting Made Simple, the podcast. This is a space where we have real parents sharing real stories. And the idea is to build a community of parents and children who are confident, resilient, and happy. Because we know that our children are the future of tomorrow, and parents are at the front, middle, the center, the back of building the strong community of children who are confident, happy, and resilient. Today on this podcast, we are going to be talking to an amazing parent. And this person is someone that I call a sister because, we've never met in person, but we have communed. We've shared, platforms together. We have, as far back as maybe 2020 or 2021, I'm not sure. But she is an amazing person. And without further ado, I would like to welcome my guest who will introduce herself. I don't want to introduce her because I think I will not do her justice if I introduce her. But here we go, and we are going to welcome our guest for today. Let's get our guest a round of applause. If you're just joining us, happy Sunday. Here we go. Hello, my darling.
Hello, hello.
So welcome, 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 welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on this platform today.
Awesome. I am happy to be here, but I hear echo. Is there something I need to do to get rid of my echo?
I
Is
can't
you
hear
cannot
any
hear
of
it?
my
Okay,
end.
then we are
No,
good. We are good.
I'm
All
not
right.
echoing. My end
All
is
right.
not echoing. Yeah.
All right. So we are good. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ivy. It's such an honor to be on your platform, right? Again, this is what we
Yeah.
do. And yes, I'm always excited to be on the other side of the microphone, right? I'm not the one prompting, but this is me trying to
Yeah.
listen. So,
You're on
hey,
the other side for a change.
oh, yes, it's important. It's good to be on both sides of this thing, right? I think it feels
Absolutely.
different. And so,
Mm.
yes, you said to introduce myself. So, hey, I am Babes, as you see, if it shows up there. But for those who know me officially, I am Solange Che. I am a beautiful daughter from a family of seven, a beautiful, close knit family. And I am a mom to a 14-year-old girl. And to add
Ooh.
to that, I am a single mom. So it's been a journey that I have taken, I mean, for the past 14 years. Okay. And the reason I introduce and I talk about my family is because my family is my backbone. My
Mm,
parents, my siblings, I depend on them a lot.
mm.
So I never talk about myself. I never talk about my daughter without mentioning my family. So apart from being the host of the You Can Be Anything podcast, I am also a Salesforce enthusiast. I'm a Salesforce application architect, and I work in consulting and sometimes independent consulting, or I work for a consulting firm. And yes, podcasting is my passion, and that's how I got to meet Ivy and had her on my platform a couple of years, like a year and a half or
Yeah.
so ago. She was one of
Yeah.
my top 10 guests. So it's an honor to be on the other side of the mic talking with you, Ivy. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, so babes. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this platform. You wear so many hats, and on top of that, you are doing parenting like a boss. I would say every parent is a boss because just the fact that you can get up in the morning and parent a child, that is already a win in itself. But
Yes.
if you're just joining us, please do share the live stream to welcome other parents. The conversations that we have here today, this is not scripted. So Babes and I are just going to free flow. Okay. So it is not scripted. The idea is for parents to share real stories. And because we are sharing real stories, the aim is to inspire, to educate, to motivate other parents so that they can realize, first off, that they are not the only ones on this journey that we call parenting, because some days we have it right, some days we don't.
Yep.
And we keep learning because this is something that we really want to progress and we want to, do better at it. If you know anything about me, you know that My mindset is a growth one. I have a very growth mindset and I promote it in every aspect of my life, including parenting. To be honest, I promote it in parenting more than every other aspect of my life because just like you, so babes, family is everything to me before anything else. I value family. So we're going to go straight deep into it. Like I said, if you're just joining us, please do share. And if I ask any question and you're not comfortable, please do tell me because sometimes we can get a little bit deep,
Mhm.
because, we're humans living a human experience. And there are certain things that sometimes they can be a little bit, what they are.
Yep,
So
that's right.
tell us, you mentioned family. Tell us, what is the role of your family in your parenting journey as, as a person?
Whoa, that is what is a role? They are a part of my parenting. They are a significant part of my parenting.
Hmm.
And when I call them a part of my parenting, is because of the influence, right? The impact that they've had on this journey.
Yeah.
And having a daughter, I had my daughter when I was 25. At 25, I was in the middle, like 1 year to completing my master's degree in
Hmm.
applied linguistics at the University of Boya.
Okay.
And I had gone a long way. It was more of my field work that was left. So I was about to complete my field work and stuff. And yes, the girl got dirty and I got pregnant.
Hmm.
Pregnant for my boyfriend then.
Yeah.
So yeah, things happened. It was a shocker for me. It was one of those things that I couldn't break to family, that because of where I come from,
Hmm.
the value system that I was brought up in, it's not the kind of space that you get pregnant out of wedlock.
Yeah.
Right. It was not anything that had happened in my household. I broke that law or I broke
It
that
was not
rule.
one.
So it was not something that I could just break out to my family. I
Hmm.
could just tell them that this is what has happened. So I
Hmm.
kept it to myself for a while. I actually skipped going home for holidays. Again, being a typical Bamenda child, I'll go to Boya to school, but of course I have to go back home to Akum, not
Hmm.
Bamenda. I lived in Akum. When I'm out of school, I had to skip going home for a holiday because I was really scared of what my father was going to do about her little girl getting
Yeah.
pregnant. Right. So it
Yeah.
was a challenge. Finally, I was able to talk to my in law, my elder sister's husband, and he's the one who helped me to break the news to the family that that's what had happened. And that was how it went through. And with that, I was really scared because it's not something that I had seen.
Hmm.
It's not something that I knew how my family, my parents, my siblings were going to deal with. I was the first to ever do anything like that. So it felt like, okay, I did not know what to expect from them, right? That was the pain.
Yeah.
Finally, it broke home. We knew about it. My dad asked me to come home,
Hmm.
and I went home. And strangely enough, he was soft. Strangely enough, I expected the whooping of my life because my
Yeah.
father whooped me. Okay. When I did the things I wasn't supposed to do, I was whooped.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things I knew I was not supposed to do. So I expected that he was gonna beat my butt out.
Hmm.
But interestingly, the only request my dad had from me was he was like, "Hey, I need you to complete your masters. I hope that this does not get in the way of your studies." That's
Yeah.
what he said. My mom, being a woman like myself, gave me the attitude of her life. Yeah, it was attitude upon attitude. She was
Silent treatment, I would
Yes,
imagine.
it's the same thing I do with my daughter today. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I know where that comes from. So it was the same thing. So at that moment when I finally went home and had that conversation with my father, he was my most challenging person I ever imagined I could talk to. My
Hmm.
mom, I knew that I could get around it. We'll fight and do stuff, but I knew that she'll come around. She's my mom. but my father was on the stricter side, so it was tough. But when I finally got him on my side, and he accepted, he was like, yes, this is what has happened, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That gave me comfort. And since then, they have always been the people. And to think that I was with someone, yeah, we're dating, but about a year and a half, no, about 2 years later, he moved on. He
Yeah.
went back to his ex. So
Oh,
I was stuck with my family. But again, what I always do is I always appreciate the 2 years of my daughter's life that he was
was that
active
after
in.
you had the baby? Did
Yes,
they go
two
back to?
years after the baby.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, 1.5.
Hmm.
Yeah, not I don't know if it was up to 2 years.
Yeah.
He Things happen, right? He
Yeah.
went
Absolutely.
back to his ex, and I respected that.
Yeah.
And with that, um, as a student,
Hmm.
there was nothing I can do. I don't know what to do with a child.
Yeah.
Right? I
Let
don't
me
know
just
what
put a pin there, so babes. Let me just put a pin there. So you had the baby. 2 years later on, your ex
Yeah.
went back to their ex,
Yes.
and at the time, obviously, I believe we're around that age range, within around the 90s or so, or 2000s,
2000s. Yeah.
2000s. It was a taboo in every household, especially if your parents were from the Northwest region, who are always very strict, very
And your father
stern.
is a teacher.
Their moral compass is, it's not wavering at all. What
Yes.
made you to say, I'm keeping this baby, I'm not getting rid of it? Because normally the trend would have been around that time. You would agree with me that many young girls who would have gotten pregnant around that time would have gotten rid of it because of the shame, because of
Yeah.
the guilt and all of that. What made you to keep the baby?
I'm not that courageous, Ivy.
Okay,
And
right.
again, I could come off as I come off as a strong woman. I come off as which is what I love it, right? Because I don't like to be taken for granted.
Hmm.
But I have a fragile heart, that is for
Yeah,
certain.
yeah.
And when this happened, and I think your circle of friends to really matter. The
Okay.
fact that I did not have people around me who would even think in that direction. There was
Hmm.
just one, and it was an adult that asked me, like, hey, are you sure you want to keep this? If you want to get rid of this, we can. And I was like, nope, I've heard stories of things that happen to people who try
Hmm.
to go through that process.
Hmm.
And besides, I'm a kid lover. I'm 25. I've finished again in my head at that time. That was the peak of my life, right?
Yeah.
That's that moment that if there is one thing I wanted from God was to get married.
Okay.
I knew, like, even though this guy had not proposed to me, at the bottom of my heart, my core told me that this was my husband.
Yeah.
For real. So to me, I was like, okay, I like this guy and I think he likes me. If we have a child, I'm 25, I'm no longer a kid. Of course, it is
Hmm.
unfortunate that I've gotten pregnant without being married to him. But you know what? And the unfortunate thing is that I hid it from him also. He only knew later on. I don't know why I did that till today. I don't know why I hid it from him.
What
I'm
did
not
you
sure.
hide from him?
I never told him I was pregnant for him for a long time.
Oh,
Until I,
right.
yeah.
Out of interest, just what was the thought process at the time? What at the time? What made you to think, no, I don't, I can't tell this person.
If your that question has come to my mind, he has asked me that question. We actually had a fight about that, why I didn't say it.
Hmm.
And I would say, after all these years, I will assume that what was in my head was, do I want to tell him? Is he, of course, he knew it was him. I'm not one of those girls that had multiple boy. I've never really been a dating kind of person. I was
Hmm.
an active person, but not too much into the dating world.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to date a lot of people. So when you have those questions, when they ask people, what is your body count? I can actually put my finger up and count, because I just was not that kid.
Hmm.
Right. So with him, it was more like, how is he going to take it?
Right.
Then after talking with the guy, the adult I said I was talking to, that was like, hey, you can get rid of this. At the
Mm.
same time, I believe that my mindset was I could get rid of it without even letting him know that I was pregnant. So it never, there's just a lot of things. And
Yeah.
when I do say that I am not, ask me to date why we did not live in the same city. So
Right.
he came to town. Ask me why I never told him I was pregnant. I cannot explain. But I
Wow.
only told him when I was about 5 months gone or so, like 4.5 to 5 months gone. That's when he knew. And he wasn't, no, I don't think it was about 4 months. He
Mm.
wasn't happy about it, but I was like, hey, I told you, and it's unfortunate, but I had no plans. It's not because of anything. It was just that shock. I think it came with some level of shock to myself, like, hey, it's a little baby actually growing in this your tiny body, right? And with the stress from school, I was traveling. I was going to Akwaya for field work.
Wow.
Pregnant, I was trekking for days, going to collect data for my
Wow.
master's thesis. So even my research companion, a German lady that I was traveling with, the day
Mm.
I told her I was pregnant, she was shocked. She was like, Solange, if you told me this, I would not have taken you to the field. I'm like, hey, this cannot come in the way of my studies.
Yeah. You
My,
promised your dad, by the
my
way.
father will not find it
You
funny
had promised dad. Yeah.
to do it. I
Mm.
get it. So that was how it was. I truly do not have a reason why I did not tell him
Okay.
that
Yeah.
I was. I've always thought of the things that came to my mind, what could have happened, but I really cannot put a finger on it why I didn't mention.
Well, that's fine. There are some times that we just, we make decisions based on the resources we have at the time.
Yes, and to come back to your question on the
They're not
role,
explained.
so that is how my family became a very important, because I was at a point where I couldn't do this by myself, right?
Mm.
And she happened to be the first grandchild of the family. So
Oh,
she drew everybody's attention. Everybody wanted to make sure she's doing fine. So that is how they became invested in
yeah.
her life, and she became the family baby. You will not even know who the mother of that child is, right? Because all my sisters took her like that, my brothers, like
Mm.
it was just my father himself became so soft. And I'm like, wow, it's really true that life is magical. And
Yeah.
yeah, truth
And
be
it
told,
takes a village as well. I always it takes a village to raise
yeah,
a child. Yeah.
and since
So
then they've been a pivotal role in the upbringing of my daughter.
wow. So you have Haley,
Yes.
and then a few years later, you have to travel and leave her in Cameroon.
Yes.
How was that experience for you as a mother traveling and leaving your baby behind?
So again, when I had her, I had to go back to school. So I took her with me 2 weeks. I
Mm.
had her 2 weeks. She was in the minicity with me when she was 2 weeks old. Tiny
Yeah.
little girl. We're in the minicity. So she's a UB child, right?
Yeah.
So I'll have her in the porta baby and we go to school. So I attended my classes with her when my
Wow.
sisters were in school. I had two sisters and a cousin. So we lived at some point it was four of us in our apartment. We had a beautiful big apartment.
Mm.
So I had the help with them, right? So she
Yeah.
had gotten used to, hey, I had to go to school. I had to make sure that I complete this master's. At some point, even I had to leave her when she was like 7 months old to travel to Germany to defend because I did my master's degree was a correspondence to the University of Cologne. So I
Mm.
had to travel to Germany at some point before she even turned one to
Right.
defend my thesis in the University of Cologne in Germany. So I
Mm.
left her there. That was my first time to leave the country. So
Yeah.
I left her, I actually got her off my breast and left her there. So I traveled to Germany when I was still breastfeeding. And I bet you, Ivy, it was horrible. It was horrible. I got there in one of those cold months and I don't know what happened. My breast hurt me for the 2 weeks that I was living there. I guess with the hormones and the breast milk and stuff, it was crazy. But that was
Oh.
my first time to leave her. And so they
Mm.
had to start her on formula for those 2 weeks that I was gone. Then I came back to Cameroon. Then the same university they gave me a scholarship for my PhD. Right. So I had to go back now to Germany for my PhD. And
Mm.
she had already left. When I came back, my mom said no more breastfeeding. She described it as sour breast milk. That I've not breastfed her for 2 weeks. I cannot continue breastfeeding her. So that's how she got weaned, and I never breastfed her again. But then, by the time, so she she was a very quick child. So by the time she was 1.5, we were already getting ready to send her to nursery school. So she went to St. Therese in
Mm.
Boya, just down, like it was across the street from where we lived. So she went to St. Therese Primary School, or it's in nursery and primary school there in Moliko. So she was there, and I got the scholarship and I had to travel. The scholarship was they gave provision for her, so it was for the both of us because they knew that I just had a child,
Mm.
and so the scholarship was for both of us. But because I was not very familiar where I was going to, I said, okay, I'm gonna go forward, see how things are, settle, then she can come meet me. But so yes, I left her with my sisters. Again, it was no, she was used to those people.
So obviously, the care side of things was fine,
Oh
right?
yes,
Because you
100%.
knew that she was in safe hands.
Oh
Family,
yes.
she was with family.
Mhm.
But as a mom within yourself, what were you feeling within yourself?
I miss that little girl. I miss her. It was, and that was around when no, I think I went to Germany, came back before her dad moved on. So it was a weird feeling, but at the same time, I was on a mission, right? I was on that path of becoming Dr. Chair. I wanted so bad to become a lecturer and travel the world and lecture and teach linguistics. I was on that path. I had a clear path ahead of me that I was pursuing. And in the process of doing this, I also knew that I think I became really dependent on my family. And truth be told, I missed her, but I would say that my dream was bigger than being a mother.
Right.
So I could actually survive. And living Germany to Cameroon was not as crazy as living the US today to go to Cameroon, right?
Mm.
It
Yeah.
was that easy. I could actually go home and see her. But the truth is, it did not break me because I was looking for something.
It's brilliant you say that your dream was bigger at the time than being a mother, because that usually saying that as a parent is quite difficult,
Yeah.
or even acknowledging that for many parents, and me inclusive,
Yeah.
acknowledging that my dream at a certain time is bigger than being a parent, it can be ridden with guilt,
Oh, yeah.
because you're thinking that should I be feeling something different right now, or should I be feeling that actually this PhD that I'm going to pursue and achieve is actually more important than
Than my
being a
child.
parent right now, than my child. And you can feel guilty. You can sit back sometimes and look back and say, maybe this was selfish, maybe this was
Mhm.
guilty. But at the time, you made those decisions based on the resources that you had.
Yep.
And I currently always say to parents, there is no point regretting the decisions that you've made in the past. How can you look back at those decisions and learn from them, or and celebrate the wins that you had from them, rather than regretting them and sitting there and feeling guilty about
Mm.
them?
Yeah.
Because at a certain point I had to make that choice as well. I was like, no more babies for 1 or 2 years. And that's how I've come to have, my son so late, in my life, because at some point I was like, no, I always wanted 4 children. I'm gonna pause this. My career is more important right now
Mm.
than, having a baby, than carrying a baby and birthing one. So I
Yep.
just really wanted to put a pin there and encourage parents who are thinking that, it is who are guilt ridden at the moment, and thinking that, no, it is selfish of me to pursue my career. No, it is not, because you are a human living a human experience,
Yep.
and that career is one of the things that your children are inspired by in the first place.
Yep.
So once you get it right, or at least get it right according to whatever right means for you,
Yep.
know that you are inspiring your parent. Hi Sandra, let me just acknowledge a few people who've joined. Hi Sandra, hello, good evening. Good evening. If you've just joined us, please do endeavor to share the broadcast. I am talking to Soso Babes, and I'm coming to a really kind of key moment in this conversation, because obviously we've started in Cameroon and we're kind of gradually transitioning now to where you are, but we're in Germany. We're doing a
Don't make
PhD.
me to tell you my book. I have a book that I'm writing. You
Right?
better not trick me into talking and telling my
I'm
whole
not going to trick
story.
you into that. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to trick you. But then maybe also tell you what, this might also be a reason for people to come back and read that book, because we're not bringing out all the nuggets. You're
Yes.
in Germany, and then eventually you're in America with your daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's keep a few pages so that we keep people coming back for that book. You're
Yes.
in America with your daughter. You are parenting in, hi Roy Mama, I see you. Thank you for joining us. You are parenting in a completely different country. Yes, you had some experience in Germany of being in the West, but you're in America and you're being a parent, right?
Yeah.
You've still got the support of your family. However, there are always challenges, even when we have that support.
Yeah.
What are some of the initial challenges for you moving to America and being a parent there with your daughter?
Yeah. Great question. But before I even come to America, okay,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
while in Germany, because she finally came to meet me in Germany. I was in
Oh, right.
Germany half for 2 years, still not alone with her because my younger sister was there with me. So for
Great.
some reason, the grace of my family that has followed me along
Mm.
since 2010
Hmm.
is invaluable, 100%.
Wow.
So even while I was parenting in Germany, going to school and being her mom, and she's in the kindergarten right next to my university, my younger sister was still there with me, doing
Wow.
this
That's
with me.
amazing.
So for some reason, family has always just gone around with me, and that's why I don't joke with them. I don't joke with those
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
Yes, coming back to your question, yeah, we find out made it to America. Again, left Europe, had my challenges with my PhD. That's one of the reasons I relocated or migrated to the US. And yeah, she's here with me, and it's a whole new story. I've got family again. I call Maryland my home base. That's where the first of our family lives, and that is our powerhouse. So wherever I am today, if something gets wrong, if for some reason I just cannot deal with it anymore, I'm heading to Maryland because that is our family powerhouse in the US.
Wow.
That's where my other sister lives. So we have their help. I come into her home with my daughter. She has her own kids, and I still have the support. Right.
Mm.
And at this time, if you, anyone that knows, that looks at my page, you see that I always say that it took me 33 years to become independent. Yes, I was a mom, but it took me 33 years of my life to actually stand on my own and say, yes, this is me. There are people today by 21, 19, they are independent and gone. As for me, no. I was a family baby till I turned 33. That
Wow.
I seized the bull by the horn, and I said, hey, family, I love you people, yeah. But you know what? Let me venture.
Let me grow up.
Yes, let me grow up. I need to grow up. I need to venture into the world. It was such a problem. It was a problem because my father didn't think that it was a good decision for me to get out of my sister's house with my daughter and go
Mm.
fight for myself. He he was like, hey, if you have to go, leave the child there and go do whatever you want to do, because they already knew that with or without me, Haley was fine because she has always been a family child.
Yeah.
Everybody treats Haley like she's theirs. So I never, that's again, we talked about the guilt thing. That's why
Yeah.
there's never been guilt for me as a parent. I could
Great.
leave and go anywhere. If Haley is with any of my siblings, I bet you, Ivy, I am at peace.
That's
Right.
amazing.
Yes, I am at peace 100%. I don't mind. And
Mm.
that is so the dynamics changed a little bit when I decided to say, hey, sister, I gotta go. Let me go and fight for myself. Let me try. But if there is one thing that I want you put to know, again, moving from Cameroon to Germany, then to the US, of course, I did not keep my dream. So when I came here, I couldn't afford to continue with my PhD. Right. It was, when I think about it, it hurts me. But I always say that everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Living that space where I was so conscious, I was so aware of what I wanted to do. I knew my path. My path was defined and clear. Then coming and being in a system where I didn't even know where to start. I didn't even know what I was going to do here in the US. right? I couldn't afford the tuition to go to school.
Mm.
I could not even take a student loan, all of those things. I'm happy I did not do all of those things then, though. And then came a time where I had to actually make the decision to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that is when I told my sister that I got to go. Let me go and venture. If it gets hard, if it's too difficult for me to deal with, I'm
Mm.
not going to get into a depression and go off out there. I'll come back
Yeah.
home. Just make
Right.
sure that my room is
So you had that
reserved.
base there, just in case.
Yes.
So at this point, do you go with Haley,
Yes. I took
or
Haley
do you stay? And as you go, what is the thought process there? Are you thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm going with this girl. I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I'm venturing." Or what are you thinking about? What
It's
is
a
your thought
venture.
process?
It's a huge venture. It is a venture out with Haley. We leave the East Coast all the way to the West. We go
Wow.
across the country.
Hmm.
Okay. And it is more like, okay, let's see what happens. Then
How old is Haley at this
Haley
point?
is 7.
Right.
She's 7 at this time, and
Hmm.
we move in. I have to take her. I have to be a mom. I just at that moment, what I felt was I need to just take care of this child. I know that everybody chips in, and
Hmm.
everybody, she has been everybody's, again, if we want to call them burden, she's been everybody's burden and business. If something is wrong with Haley, everybody is concerned about her. Everybody in the house is concerned about her. So it's been something that is too closely knit together.
Hmm.
And this was me trying to say, you guys know what? Let's also babes go and try. Let me go. It was tough, Ivy, but then I did it. Going off with Haley, was it easy? No, not
What
even
was
for a
challenging about
second.
going off with Haley? What did you
Where
find really challenging?
where to start? How can I keep being me and still take care of this little girl? I'm going out of home, which means if I have to go to work, I need to know where I put Haley. So again, being somebody growing up in that close-knit relationship, I have a very good friend, my childhood best friend in California. So she agreed to host us. She hosted us, Estelle, bless your heart. I never talk about my movement with Haley without mentioning Estelle. She is just, I don't know. It's the 6.5 to 7 months she hosted Haley and I. She
Wow.
gave me a job.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing. Because out here in the West, it
Yes.
is, it's a doggy dog world.
Yes. The
Everyone is looking to
idea was
survive.
that I
And
was
then
going to
she
go.
does.
Yes. The idea was I was going to go be with her, find something, then
Mm.
we move on. Right. That was the plan. And yes, I was with her. It even went longer than we even planned and we had planned. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to come hang out with your house. She had a beautiful big house, 2 kids with her mom. And Haley and I moved in with them, and it was amazing. So she gave me a job. She encouraged me. I am not a nurse at heart. I am a caregiver, but I am not a nurse at heart. There are
Mm.
a lot of things that nurses deal with that I struggle with. She is a professional, she's a nurse. And she was like, hey, if there is one thing I can do to help you, I know that while in Maryland, you have done your survival jobs, like working in restaurants,
Mm.
working in grocery stores. That's when I came to the US. That's what I did. I remember some of my colleagues in Germany. I had sent a picture of one of them with me in the Aldi uniform. I sent a picture of them. I'm like, gucken Sie here. I'm like, this is what your girl is doing at this moment. Look at that. And they were like, oh my gosh, Solange, you left from lecturing and you are working at Aldi,
And
because
you're at
there is
Aldi.
an Aldi. There is an Aldi in Germany, right? And they were like, you're working at an Aldi? You have an Aldi shirt on? I was like, yes, this is what is happening. This is my new reality. So my
Absolutely.
friend Estelle had advised, like, hey, if there is one way I can help you, is I can help you. So the home where I work, they can hire you as a CNA. Why don't you go do the CNA thing and get your certification? So I did it. I listened to her and I
Yeah.
did it. So while there, I had the opportunity to work as a CNA in the home where she worked.
Mm.
And it was good. Taking care of these people was amazing. Of course, I was
Yeah.
scared when people passed. I was scared when I had to go into a room with a nurse that was doing wounds. I'm
Mm.
generally scared of blood a lot. So it was a little bit of a, when you have to do something because you have to do it, right?
Well, just to get by,
Yes. So
So
I
when
had to
you
do
went to work,
nursing. Oh yeah.
sorry for cutting you, when you
Well,
went to work, where was Haley? Who was looking after her?
So she is at home. So she's with my friend's mom.
Ah,
So we
with her
drop them
son's
off at
mom.
school. And
Right.
my friend mostly worked nights. So it
Hmm.
was more like I'm going to in the morning. I go to work in the morning, I come back, then I stay with the kids overnight, and she goes to work at night.
Right.
Right. Then her mom was also very helpful. Like
Hmm.
she's always around when she's not working. So Haley had two other kids that she hung out with. They went to school. So it just worked. It turned out really well for us for those couple of months, right?
Yeah.
And at that moment, there, of course, everything comes. I wasn't coming to stay at her place forever. And to me, being a CNA was a transition. It was the survival job that I needed to do in
Right.
order to find myself where to find something that I needed to do.
Hmm.
And I always say that the reason I doubt if I stayed in Maryland, I don't know if I would have found Salesforce. I don't know, maybe it would have happened, but I always give credit to my
Hmm.
move to California that
Right.
made me come across Salesforce, and I decided to put in the power. I call it power. I was hungry. So while I worked as a CNA, I studied. And the point came where I had to move out of my friend's house. I was like, hey,
Yes.
you've hosted me for this long. I have saved some money. I think I can now move on and
Yeah.
let me go and actually get that freedom
Do
that
something.
I've been
Yeah.
craving so much for. And
Hmm.
yes, she gave me her blessings. She even bought some of the furniture that I needed to move into my own place with Haley. It was such a beautiful experience. But then
Nice.
now, finally, Haley and I are just the two of us in the world, and that is
Okay.
when reality hits.
Okay. Tell us about this reality. So it's just you and Haley now.
Yeah,
You have to step up and be the parent, the mom, the dad, your
everything.
sisters, that village that looked after Haley. You have to step up and be that village for
Yeah,
Haley.
yeah.
What happens?
It is interesting. It is fun. Haley is such a jovial. Again, as they're growing up, I think I've talked to you about. I've commented around something when these kids become teenagers. I start
Yes,
wishing that I had my baby back. Right,
absolutely.
the energy that Haley had will make me want to do anything in this world.
Mm.
It's not the same today because of these teenage hormones,
Of
but
course, it's on its way back. Never
I
mind.
pray it comes back someday. I cannot
It's on its
wait.
way back.
I
Never
cannot
mind.
wait.
So by this time, what age is Haley? Still 7 or
Haley is
8?
9.
Okay, Haley is 9.
No, like
Of
eight and
course.
a half because we're in
Okay,
California for half a year. She's about 8. We moved out of my friend's house when she was 8 and a half because she turned 9 when it was just the two of us. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
she's 9 or she's 8.5 now,
Yeah. Mhm.
and you've moved into your own home.
Yes.
How did you manage? How did you manage, obviously looking after her, working,
Hmm.
studying, and also being the parent in the household?
Yeah, it was a routine. So it became more of a routine. I built a routine around our lives, right?
Right.
Haley and I'm known to stay in places where places are not crowded. I'm known to be isolated a little bit. I'm not a big fan of busy cities. I
Yeah.
love countrysides. I love to be in the suburbs. And that is how I've always been. Maybe it's because I grew up in villages.
I grew up in a
Some
village.
people,
I love nature.
so
I
I
like to
love
see
the village
grasses
life.
and feed them.
Okay. So to me, so this is Haley and I. We build a routine for ourselves. So like,
Right.
okay, Haley, I there's a say, God's grace never let go of me. Never. Like the moment I took Haley away, again, today's Pentecost. As a Christian, we appreciate God for the gift of the Holy Spirit, right?
Yes.
And this Holy Spirit never left me, Ivy, because one thing that is not as easy to get as a CNA
Mm.
is having a schedule that is fixed.
Yes.
Should be taught as a CNA. When I moved out of my friend's house to live with Haley, I had a fixed CNA schedule from
Wow.
7 till 3, Mondays to Fridays, and that was it.
What?
Yes, like I don't know the
The
magic. I don't
person
know
who
how.
drew that timetable or that schedule, whatever you did or whatever you said to them, that person was your savior because
Yes,
at that point in time.
yes, because it is not something that is common.
No,
Even
it's
where
not.
I work, People grumbled about it. People, that it never got changed. And I stayed quiet because I knew that this was the invisible hand of God, right? This was God doing things for me. This was God helping me parent Haley. And this is that God that I always tell her, like, hey, child, God is watching you. And she believed me until she turned 10 that everything that she did when I wasn't watching, God told me about it. The day
What
she
happened
caught
that the
me,
belief changed?
no, so she caught me. She was like, Mommy. I was tricking her because she did not realize that whatever she did in school, whatever happened in school, the teachers will email me or something, right?
Mm.
So when she comes home, I'm like, oh, what happened with this person? She's like, Mommy, how did you know about it? I was so excited. I wanted to come
Oh.
tell you. I was like, God told me, child. I have told you that if I am not with you in the physical, God is with you. And whatever happens, He relays that information over to me. I bet you Haley believed that until she turned 10.
What
I
burst this
was I
bubble?
was so disappointed the day she told me that, Mommy, I know that God exists, but God did not tell you about the things that happened.
He's not reporting me to you.
But it was such a belief that I held so close to my heart because I was proud of her. I was like, yes, I got it. So she was very conscious. She did a lot of things as a little girl. She would know that, oh, she'll come sometimes and be like, oh, Mommy, did you hear? Oh, Mommy, do you know? I'm like, okay, now some of them I did not know. I'm like, just tell me. I want to listen to your own side of the story. And she'll tell me now and I'll use it. Like, so I manipulated her a little bit. Trust me. But it was good. So we built a routine for ourselves, and I knew that we had a plan, and
Mm.
our plan was just fixed. I drop her off with my schedule of 7 to 3 fixed schedule. I was so grateful to that HR lady that made that happen, right?
Mm.
And I'll drop her off at school. And what I would do is we were not allowed to drop them off before school starts
Mm.
at 7. I went into the cafeteria. I talked to the lady at the cafeteria. I was like, woman, I need your help. I cannot afford to be late for work. Can I please drop Haley with you at the cafeteria because I know they're open early to cook for
Yeah.
the kids to come have breakfast?
Mm.
Someone was like, of course, why not? I was like,
Oh,
the invisible hand of
wow.
God in my life. So I would drop Haley off at the cafeteria at 6:45 for a whole year.
And then go off to work.
6:45, I drop her off there. She stays in the cafeteria. The lady, she had like hand stuff that she would do. Sometimes the lady would engage her in the general area. The only rule was that she couldn't be in the kitchen. So she
Mm.
would sit in the cafeteria itself and do her stuff. Then her school was like 10 minutes from my work. I drive to work. I work till 3. Fortunately, she had an after school program. So after school, she goes to her after school program. When I
Mm.
leave work at 3, I have the time to go back home and just have my moment. Then I had till 6 p.m. to pick her up.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll pick her up early. Sometimes I just want to have my moment and I will leave her there till that 6. So she's at school from 6 to 6 on some days.
Mm.
And I'll pick her up. As soon as we get home, she's famished, right? Her after school program, they had the opportunity to do their homework and
Yeah.
take care of those things. So when we got home, it was more like, hey, let's have dinner and go to bed. 8 p.m. was our bedtime. We were
Wow.
in bed at 8. It was fixed. We are in
It's
bed at
amazing. It's, the sorry that I'm cutting you, but
no, go
there are
ahead.
two things that I really want to pin there.
Mhm,
And these are things that are really important in a parent's life.
mhm.
The first one is the importance of routines.
Oh yeah.
Routines will save you a lot of stress, anxiety. It will even help for your child to feel safe. Normally, we think that routines are not important, right? And sometimes we think that routines are really, just there, they're boring and all of that.
Yeah, they're helpful.
Children actually feel safe when they know what to expect.
Yeah.
So routines will save your life as a parent. If you have not got any routines, make sure you have some semblance of a routine.
Yep.
Now, your routines can be fixed or they can be fluid,
Flexible. Yep.
depending on your circumstance at this point, at every given point in time.
Yep.
Then the second thing that I want to just bring out there, which is amazing that you did, was you asked for help.
Oh.
So many parents do not ask for help. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
No.
So the moment you are struggling, speak up, speak out, ask for help. You will be amazed at how many people want to help you
Help.
and how many genuine people want to help. And what is the worst that can happen? The person just says, "No, I can't do it." That's the worst. And then you move on to someone else who maybe perhaps can do it.
Yep.
That you went up to that cafeteria lady, you did not know her, but you wanted to ask for help because you wanted to solve a problem, is amazing. Many parents don't
Yep.
ask, and it's
Yep.
important to ask.
Yep.
So you've got your routine sorted, you've got work sorted, and of course, you've got Haley sorted in
Yep.
school. She's got her after school program going on. I'm just mindful of time because I
Yep.
know that we have to keep it under the hour.
Yep.
Now, let's skip to 13 because Haley has just turned 14. Let me skip to 12 or
Yep.
thereabout, right? Because
Okay.
we say when they're teenagers, things start to, go upside down and turn, inside out. But it doesn't start at 13, does it? Sometimes
No.
it starts for some children at 12, it starts for some children at 11. When did you start to notice some of those teenage tendencies with Haley and those changes?
4 months ago.
Wow, you're lucky.
See, yes. So Haley is a very sweet child. She has always been, and so loving, so energetic, right? The one thing that, so we would talk when she was 10 because she's very open. I'm the only person. She's this kid was as open to me as you can imagine. We talk about every and anything, right?
Hmm.
She questions whether who I'm going to date or why I'm not dating, if I think this is a cute guy, if this is not a cute guy. She's very open to me. We have
Wow.
very open conversations. Sometimes I feel like it's too much for a child, but again, I can be that open sometimes. I guess she has gotten used to me. She's like, oops, mommy, nope, don't say that. But I'm just who I am. Okay. So I noticed Haley's when again the teenage thing is there, but the teenage part that got me praying, I noticed 4 months ago. And there
Okay.
is nothing bigger in a teenager's life than attitude for me. The
Okay.
attitude is the only thing that breaks me because I look at it as they are finding themselves. Being who she is, I know who I am. I know how assertive I am. And she has always been that sweet little girl that is very respectful. Once in a while, she will go crazy with me. I will say something and she will not do it. But if you meet Haley out of home, you're going to recommend, like, she is I don't know. There was a day I walked to her school. I went to her front desk, and the lady was like, "Whoa, are you Haley's mom?" I was like, "Yes." She was like, "God bless you." Haley is respectful. She's so caring. You know how kids go to school and they get honor rolls for best student of these days?
Mm,
All her honor rolls, again, she has gotten her performance honor rolls, but the ones that really stood out for me are the ones about care,
yeah.
the ones about empathy, the
Oh, that's
ones that
lovely.
she chooses to take care of a special ed kid, the
Hmm.
ones that, so it's all of those things. So that's how I know she has my grandma heart, my grandma's heart, the person she's named after. She has
Wow.
such a caring heart.
Hmm.
But just before she turned 14, this whole attitude started coming
What
in.
is it? When you say
It's
attitude,
about,
what do you
so to me,
notice?
it's the countenance. I only see attitude in her in countenance. Like,
You see the eye roll, or
she
sometimes
would not
the
even eye
funny
roll to me.
looks,
She would
or
not eye roll in front of me, like me
yeah.
seeing it. But I know that it's there, right? Oh, so what I noticed that actually kind of got my attention is the fact that if she's on the phone with her friends, she could be joyous and they're chatting and stuff. But the moment I appear, she's like, so it started worrying me. Like, what is happening? Why is my presence no longer giving her the joy that it used to? And I pay a lot of attention, a lot. Like, I'm the kind of person that can carry your baby and tell you, yeah, your baby has hair behind their ear. Because I look at things like that. I am very,
You're
sometimes
attentive.
I worry about it. So I easily pick on some of these things. I might ignore some, but I mostly see them. So
Mm.
to me, that was a challenge. And when I say I have a new prayer point, is for this stage to go through, or at least for God to give me the grace to deal with it, to understand that wisdom, to
Mm.
understand that this is a stage in a kid's life, and just help me manage it right.
Mm.
Right. I always say, you talk about parenting tips and stuff. I always say there is really no handbook. It
There is.
is the circumstances that you come across and how you deal with them that will help you actually. We can only do our best, right? There are
Absolutely.
parents who have done amazing jobs, but the kids still did not turn out, let me say, right, depending on what right means to somebody. Get it?
Exactly.
So that is, to me, it was mostly then. When it comes to just being a big girl trying to do things, talking about boyfriend, oh mommy, when are you gonna let me have a boyfriend? Those are conversations that we had when she was 10. She started talking about boyfriend since she was 10. She was like, "Oh, mommy, when I'm ready to have when you give me the permission to have a boyfriend, I would love to date a boy that is like this." So those things are things I started hearing from her before she even became a teenager. So I
Mm.
always said that she lived her teenage years when it comes to conversational and being open when she was way younger. But
Mm.
what I'm seeing now is more on the side of it feels like I'm a burden to her. It feels like, oh, I could live better without you around me. That's
How does it make you feel as a parent? How,
oh man, I say it is a prayer point. I pray. It hurts me. I don't like it. Why? Maybe it's also because of how close I am with her. And sometimes I take the blame. I'm like, maybe if I wasn't a single parent, if I had if I had somebody that could distract me from some of the things that she's doing, maybe I'll not notice all of these things. So I try my best to not take it too hard on her, because I also feel like I am contributing to the way I feel, because I am trying to get all my attention from her. Right? I want to be in the know of everything she does. And if she doesn't notice something that I expect somebody to notice, I feel disappointed. So I
Mm.
feel like I'm expecting a lot from her. So once in a while, I'll slap myself and say, hey, Solange, be real, right?
Yeah.
It is not your 14-year-old or your 13 years old. It is not their duty to know that, hey, it is a bad time of the month. You have to be nice to mommy.
I'm glad you're saying that sometimes you slap yourself and
Oh,
say,
yeah.
let's be real. Because what it strikes me is normally as kids are growing older, there comes a point where they start to detach from their parents,
I
right?
hate it. I hate it.
And that detachment is inevitable. Now, it is a painful process because at that point in time, it's a bit like a loss. You're losing something. You're losing that close bond that you had with them. You're losing that camaraderie or that friendship, or it's not that it's going away, it's just morphing into something else, right? And that process of detachment can be painful. It is painful for most parents. And I am right in the middle of it. My 17-year-old, my 15-year-old, you can see all of those changes that are happening.
Mhm.
And sometimes you still wonder, especially in your case where you and Haley have been really, really close. And now you're saying that perhaps you are wanting that attention from her.
She's not
Meanwhile,
giving it to me.
she's not giving it to you. And my question now to you is, what is stopping you from seeking that attention somewhere else? I'm not saying from someone else, because you mentioned that maybe if you had someone else, you would have had that attention. But there are things that you could do. What is stopping you from seeking that attention somewhere else?
I
Not
think
necessarily from someone.
someone, right? I think I do. And that is one of the reasons, one of the things that birthed my podcast, right? So
Right.
if I am not working, if I'm not doing my 9 to 5, I'm
Mm.
probably asking to talk to a guest, or I'm recording something about. So that has actually taken away some of that at the tension that I wanted from her. That I'm like, hey, when you come back from school, it's about you and mommy. We make videos. We used to make a lot of videos together until the time when I will raise my camera. I'm like, hey, Haley, and she's like, no, mommy, I don't feel like it. I was like, what? So those kinds of things came as a shock. So my podcast is actually one of the ways that I got myself busy, and just being present on Facebook, like doing my stuff, doing my Sunday Funday with the Roy Mama Show, doing all those things. Now she's like, "Oh, mommy, I see you're having a lot of fun." Sometimes when I laugh in here, she comes and she peeps in and she's like, "Ah." I'm like, yes, mommy can have some fun too without you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, mommy can have fun without you. And I
Yeah.
have a younger sister around me. When I have the opportunity, I hang out with her. I could just go be with her kids because she has smaller kids. And I generally love being around kids a lot. So I will go, I hang out with her little boy, the young. It's just, to me, and I think I really have an attention problem with kids because I hate it when they detach from me. One of my sister's kids, there was a time they said her middle child. I was so close. I am really close with him, with all her kids. But this one, so call him my boyfriend. There was a day I asked him, I was like, "Hey," he was like, "No, he does not want mommy so." They call me mommy so. Say that thing hurt me. Like real. I had to sit back. I'm like, "Hey, so what is wrong with you and these kids?" It is okay for kids to say they don't want to go to mommy so's house. So I actually had to continuously play with that and not take it personal and feel like, hey, maybe these kids don't like me anymore.
Maybe the one
And
time, you know?
yes, it's so I had to stop taking it personal, and it's based on being that tight with Haley, talking with Haley all the time, spending time in that little space, and
Mm.
just being the one person. I think that I had to learn how to just let go and let be. And again, I am learning my own lessons from all of this. But truth be told, Ivy, the whole detachment part that these kids really have, that's something that I'm still praying for the grace to deal with. And
Right.
yeah, I know it's possible. My parents had to let go of me at some point, right?
Yeah.
I too need to learn how to let go of
Mm.
my own child at some point. So,
And the thing is, as children grow older, like as generations pass, right? Detachment is happening sooner and sooner and sooner.
mhm,
We detach from our parents maybe in our 20s. Our
mhm.
children are detaching from us in their teens, right?
Yes,
And it is a sad thing. But then we have to deal with that sense of rejection that we're feeling. It is not actual rejection, it's a perceived sense of rejection that
rejection.
we're feeling. And because we're feeling it, we have to be able to sit in that rejection and actually ask ourselves, is it actually rejection or is it perceived?
I
Because
think it's perceived.
exactly, yeah. So there's one question I really wanted to ask you before we finish. Now,
Mhm.
you're parenting in, as an immigrant in America, right? Just like us parenting here in the UK. Now, it is very nuanced. There are issues that come around parenting when it comes to you parenting in a country that has a different cultural heritage from yours.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? Because I know that obviously you mentioned earlier that your parents whooped you,
Oh, yeah.
right? Which they did to me as well.
Mhm.
But now we are in the West and we cannot do that to our children. How do you balance it?
That CPS is watching this video. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how I could have gone. I don't know how I could have gotten things right or just gotten Haley to understand certain things in life without whooping her butt. I whoop.
Mm.
I whoop to correct my
But
child.
not to the extent that you were whooped.
Of course, I can never get to that. You
You
know
can
what my
never get
parents
there.
did to me? My
You
mom
can never
shot.
get there. So you can never get there.
Yes.
So how do you balance it? First off,
Yeah.
our children, I worry for them because of identity crisis in terms of their heritage and their culture, right? How do you do it? How do you still teach those moral values, those values that our parents passed on to us? How
Yeah.
do you balance it and pass it
So
on to
me,
them?
right. So to me, I always describe myself as a traditional woman. And I say I'm a traditional woman with a touch of Western world, right? It's not everything in the Western world that I assimilate. I pick
Mm,
and choose what works for me.
yeah.
And And one thing with Haley, I think I have because she grew up, she went to school in Cameroon, she stayed in Cameroon for some time. I do feel that that has helped
Mm.
her ability to respect, to talk to people the way she would talk to people, especially when it's not me, right? Her ability to be respectful and caring. Those are some of the things that, if you ask me, she learned from home, to care about other people, to be
Yeah.
empathetic. I don't think that the US taught Haley that. She learned that from home.
Mm.
And I don't think that I taught her that. It's just
Mm.
something that she saw growing up in her grandfather's house.
Right.
So if you ask me, what I always try to do is I let her know. I'm like, hey, this is where I come from. This is what I did as a child growing up. She has the opportunity to talk. My father visited, my mom visited. They talk to her. They tell her. My dad reminds her of some of the instances of back home and stuff. And I tell her, you see these kids that are here. One of the differences, the main differences between you people is that, not even the main difference. I'm like, you don't have the same culture. These kids don't come from the same home as you. They don't have the same values and principles.
Mm.
We have our own values and principles, and that is what I am teaching you. When you go out there, you're going to encounter what the society has, because whether we like it or not, the society teaches our kids,
Yep.
right? They're going to pick those things, but I try to make her understand, like, hey, girl, this is what I'm teaching you. This is how I grew up, and this is why I am who I am today. If there is anything you admire about your mom or about any of your aunties, know that it came as a result of this background, of
Yes.
this value system.
Mm.
So she will be conflicted sometimes. There were times that she's come back home with questions to me like, oh, mommy, I'm just explaining myself. I bet that most African parents, most of us who grew up in Africa, in Cameroon, I'm talking about our country, and here, when we talk to our kids, we expect them to listen, right? But these kids here, Haley's one of her first challenges was that she knows that at home, if she does something and I'm talking about it, she needs to listen to me talk and end before she says anything. She doesn't interrupt me.
Mm.
But out of here, I have listened. I went to the school. They interrupt their teachers, their
Oh yeah.
friends. They talk. I'm like, no. So it was such a conflicted thing in her head. So
Yes.
she started bringing it home where I'll try to talk. She was like, oh, but mommy, I'm like, I'm not done, Haley. I'm going to give you a chance to talk, but you got to wait. Let me finish. That is how I was brought up. One of my Caucasian friends told me that, Solange, that's awkward. Why would you not let her express herself? I'm like, because I am still talking. You get it? So it's something that has been conflicted in her head. And I think that when she takes this out of home, that is why people are wowed by the way she behaves, that she does
Yeah.
not talk back to
Mm.
her teachers. She will not. She's like, whoop, talk back to my teacher. So she'll come back home and be like, oh, mommy, did you hear this so person talk back to the teacher? I'm
Yeah.
like, what? So she's like, no, I know I cannot dare that. I'm like, if you dare that, what happens? She's like, no, mommy, I know. So you see that those things, we try our best as parents to teach them.
Mm.
Sometimes you feel like it's hitting the wall, but I bet you that it is getting into them.
It
And
is
I have
getting into them.
experienced that with Haley. I
Yeah.
have. She goes out and hangs out with her friends and comes back and she will be like, hey, mommy, I don't think that I have a problem because this friend of mine talks back at her parents or about his parents, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. That's
Yeah.
what she says. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm not doing a good job. For my daughter to tell me that, I give myself a tap on the back
Absolutely.
that I have kept
We have to take those moments and we have to celebrate them.
yes.
Now, Roy Mama asked a question
Yeah.
earlier, which I think we kind of touched on. Do you
Mhm.
guys think, but before I read this question, can I just acknowledge Nee Divine? Thank you so much. You know,
Nidhi is a
yeah,
fan.
Nidhi is in the house, is in the building.
Thank you,
Thank you
Nidhi. She
so much
calls me a chair
for
girl.
watching. Yeah. And she Need Divine is talking about your mom as well and
Oh, yeah.
acknowledging that your mom is such a great mother, and he's not, found, there are not many people like your
That's
mom,
awesome.
so
I hope I learned well, Nidhi.
must
I
have
hope
come,
I'm
yeah,
doing
must have passed on, to you as well. And Haley is lucky to have you,
yeah.
but Roy Mama asked this question: do you guys think, after all the perfect upbringing and wishing for the best for these kids, they can grow up and take a different approach to life. What is your take on
Yes.
this question,
Yeah,
Soso?
I think so. They can. But there is something about these kids. They say bring up a child as they grow, right? They will never depart from it. No matter what happens, I don't care at what age, even in their 40s, 50s, those values that you put in these kids, I bet you it comes back.
It does.
They will grow up. I believe that some of them will grow up and just decide to take a different approach because guess what? These are full human beings. Yes, we birth them, but they have a mind of their own. They have
Mm,
feelings of their own. They have everything of their own. So they're going to go out there, view the world in their own mind's eyes, do what they want to do, but if it is not in the path that their parents taught them, if it is not the good path, I bet you that they come back. They
they
come
do.
back. It might take forever, but they will come back, especially if they take the path that we as society
Mm,
call the not so good path,
mm,
right? So I don't believe that values disappear. I
yeah.
believe that kids put values behind it. It's just like me getting pregnant at 25. I'm sure my father was like, what the heck? Who taught you that?
Who taught you that?
You get it? But that was me in my own little bubble with all the
Mm,
hormones and the excitement of, oh my God, I have a boyfriend, and oh my God, you can just go ahead and have sex and do stuff like that. That
yeah,
was me
absolutely.
with my own mind. It's not because I grew up in a home where that was allowed. That
Mm,
was me and my adventures.
yeah,
So the
and I
same
do
thing.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I do agree with you that teach a child in the way that they should go, and they will not
Not
depart from it.
depart from it.
Now, it does not mean that they will stick to that path throughout.
Yes.
They will deviate, just like children. They will push boundaries. Even adults, we push
We push
boundaries with the
boundaries.
parents. They will push those boundaries. They will go out and experiment the world. They will learn those lessons. But trust me, those values are playing at the back of their minds like a tape.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they choose not to follow those values, we did the best as parents. I
Yes.
want to beat my chest that I did the best, and my
I
child
try.
chose not to follow rather than not do it. And at the end of the day, we can only say we do our best and leave the rest to God. And
Yep.
then the children would,
Ag-
choose to do whatever they want to do.
Yep.
Need Divine is also raising a question here.
Which I agree.
Um,
I agree a
the
lot.
problem with a lot of us parents is that we teach children one thing and do the opposite. I definitely agree with that. Most, 100%.
I am a victim of that.
Me
I
too.
plead guilty.
Me too. I am guilty of that. And my children, honestly, these kids,
I plead
they catch me like they know that I talk about parenting a lot, right?
guilty.
And they
Oh,
want to
amazing.
poke and catch me at every turn. Like, yes, they'll be like, "Oh, mommy, you said we should eat and wash our plates. That's your plate there. You've not washed it."
Oh man, I get that every day.
Like, honestly, that is how petty it will get. Okay,
I
okay,
get that every day.
yeah. And to be honest, we do the best that we can,
We
but
try.
yeah, we try. But there are
Kelly
certain
calls
things that
me
we
out.
do.
Like I'm having an argument with my siblings and I'm yelling and stuff. And she's like, I thought you said you can pass a message without screaming.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what she told me once. And
Mhm.
she's lucky she was not close to me because I would have given her a call. Go ahead. She said it from a distance.
Oh no, my son told me the other day that, mommy, raise your words and not your voice.
Yeah, so the catch us in these
They
things.
do.
ED,
They
you're
do.
very correct. I'm
Yeah.
guilty, but I also make a conscious effort
Yes.
to to correct those things because we are just parents, right? We are not perfect human beings.
We're not.
Yeah,
and
so
and just to pick on something that Roy Mama said as well,
mhm.
in that question that she asked about all the perfect upbringing, there is no such thing as a perfect upbringing. I don't want to believe there is.
Yes.
We do the best that we can as parents. I obviously support parent, but then the bottom line is every kid is different, every child is different. Like, I have 4 children, they all are different, and I have to amend and adapt my parenting slightly
Based on
differently
their
to suit
personalities.
the personality of that child. And so, as a parent, if you are not aware that this is the case, you would think that it is a one size fits all for all of your children. It is not. Some people always say, if you do that, you're discriminating. No, you're not discriminating. You're not changing the big things. You're not changing the principles. You're changing the strategies because the children are different.
Different.
Yeah.
I agree.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I know we can talk forever here. So and I know that you have to go.
You know me, my parenting story, it's a big story. It is one that's why I'm putting it in a book, right? It
Yeah.
is amazing. I personally, I feel like it is something to reckon with. I have my challenges, but I also know that somebody can learn from my experience. You get it? And that's why I'm happy to talk about these things. And yeah, I might not be the perfect person out there, but I know that I put in I make an effort.
This podcast is not a place where people come and share perfect stories. It is a place where people share real stories.
Yeah.
And those real stories are aimed to inspire people and to motivate parents in particular so that we can raise that community of children who are confident, who are resilient, and who are happy. Someone said earlier that what you were sharing is really inspiring and it's
Oh,
educational as well.
thank
So,
you.
you're inspiring a parent by
Awesome.
by sharing your story, and thank you so much for
Awesome.
choosing to come.
Lindsay, you're making me blush. You say such beautiful things about the Czech girls. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Nick Divine. I mean, it's great to have you on here. Thank
Oh,
you so
you
much.
were watching. That's my older sister. Thank
I
you, girls.
know,
Oh,
right?
I hope I did not say anything about you that I wasn't supposed to say. Thank you for watching.
Well, we're coming to the end. So, babes, if you were to say one triumph that you've had as a parent, what would that be?
My triumph is being a
Yes.
parent. Is the
Hmm.
fact that I have been Haley's mom, and I have tried my best. It's not easy to be a mom and to be a friend. I try not to be a friend to her, but I have to be a mom friend. So I have to parent her and still create that environment where she can talk to a friend. And to me, the fact that I have come this far with Haley, where she can talk to me about what bothers her, she can talk to me about her experiences from school, even when I think that she was on the wrong, she still expresses those things to me. I think that that is something that is a win for me. Keeping
Mm.
her open, and can I guarantee that she tells me 100% of everything that happens? At this point, I cannot. But when she was 10, I could guarantee that she said everything. But as she's growing, the experiences are different. But I can attest that she is an open child, and bringing up a child in a community like this kind of a society, you want them to be open. And the day I wake up and feel like Haley is keeping secrets from me, it's going to break me. So, however, I still try my best to encourage her to have the conversations, because conversations could actually solve problems that could lead to a really bad place. Just by talking about it, you could find solutions in them. So she knows that I want her to talk about me, even though sometimes I get tired of how much she wants to tell me, but I still try to listen to her. So my biggest triumph, my biggest win, I can
Mm.
just put out there as for being a parent to Haley so far, is having a child that will tell me what is wrong, what is right, and what she dreams for. Having an open child.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
So you've created a culture and an environment where
To
she
speak.
feels safe to come and talk to you
Yeah, and
about.
I pray it stays so for as long as God wishes. That's my wish. In as much as it is a win, it is also a prayer point. It's also a desire where
Mm.
I pray that she stays in that spot where she can always find that space, that safe space in me as her mom.
Wow, that's amazing. That is beautiful.
Yep.
Okay, now Three words, okay, before you go. Now, before I say this, even if you are not following the You Can Be Anything podcast, please go and follow it. Go and follow it. The it's in the name. You can be anything. You will be inspired. If you've been inspired here today, you will be inspired. Okay, it is. I see. Need you to say a market. Oh, hey,
Need to go find me man before we finish
need you
this
to say
show.
a market.
But Lindsay knows I'm not the only one. I'm not the only unmarried chick girl. So
Linda, thank you so much for watching. If you
thank
do
you.
not follow me on Facebook, do follow me. I am Ivy Bingwa or Ivy Rose Parenting. Ivy Rose Parenting is my business page, born from Ivy Bingwa. Okay, please do follow both pages. It is going to help me to grow and reach as many parents as possible. But also, I have got some products out in the market as well. I have got affirmation cards for parents and children. Okay, so parent and child affirmation cards. I haven't got them here on me at the moment, they're somewhere downstairs. But if you're looking for affirmation cards to inspire you as a parent or to do with your child, you know, send me a DM and I'll send you the link for the affirmation cards. I can post everywhere all over the world in the West, America, Canada, Germany. I am making plans for some to be available in Cameroon at the moment. There are two versions of them, a Bible inspired version for my Christian loving brothers and sisters, and a regular version for everyone else. So, I will send me a DM if you need them. I will put the link after this show so that people can have a look on my Etsy front shop. Okay, right. Dikuba Patience, thank you so much for watching
Thank
with us.
you.
If you have joined us today, thank you. This podcast happens every fortnight. So do come back in 2 weeks' time. I am going to have another guest who will be talking about their parenting journey. The idea is to share our parenting stories, real parents sharing real stories, so that we can together inspire and build a community of children who are confident, resilient, and happy. So, babes, three words.
Those are the words you just said.
Oh,
You just said my words.
all right then.
You just
So,
said you just said my words because if there is one thing, three words, I would say confidence, right? Confidence to me again. So I need to stop talking. Oh God, I'm sorry. You're just another podcaster. Okay, confidence is one. It's a trait that I have continuously tried to make Haley like, hey girl, you have to be assertive. You have to be confident in yourself. She she used to be very confident. Then it dropped. Slowly, it's going back up. And I pray that it stays up because I love me, my confident child.
mhm.
The one that is a little bit, that's again, that confidence is a word I'll take for Haley because as for me, there's no, I don't play, I'm a confident woman. Okay. I pray that she gets that. Resilient is my word, is a word for me that I have used it both in my professional life and in my regular life, my social life,
Mm,
because I have seen a fair share of I've seen a fair share of struggles in life, right?
mm,
And if there is one thing, it's always that desire to to not fail. And when you talk about not failing, one thing that always strikes me is the fact I don't want people to say, "Oh, Che Solange, Che so babe, she thought she could bring up that child on her own. Now she failed." That's fear. That is a
I
fear.
will prove you wrong.
That is a fear for real. That
Yeah.
is a real fear that I had for a very long time, being a
Oh,
single parent to Haley. But
that's interesting.
then the time came where I didn't care anymore. But also, there was that moment where I was like, hey, what if this child doesn't turn out right? What would people say? I always say not to care about what would people say, but I am a victim of worrying about what people would say. Right. So so this is just to say that sometimes we talk about things that as when we come up here and we try to teach and stuff, we could be, it doesn't mean that we are free from those things. It doesn't mean that we are perfect.
Mm,
Sometimes, most of the times I talk out of experience. I have had the what would people say fear in me.
mm,
But as time goes on, I figure out how to experience has taught me that man, I'm almost 40. And in fact, I'm 40. And one of the things that is going to happen this 40 first is that I'm not going to be fat. And secondly,
You be 40 and fit.
and secondly is that I'm not worried about the things that I cannot change. That's just me. And just pray to keep being an awesome parent to Haley, an awesome mom to her.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That means you're at the right podcast. You are at the right
Yep.
podcast because our keywords on this podcast is
Yep.
confidence, resilience, and happy.
Happy.
We want children who embody those traits
Yep.
because with confidence, there's no stopping you. With resilience, there's no stopping you. With happiness, you are in a right frame of mind to not be stopped.
Yep.
So there we go. Well, thank you so much, Soso Babes. It's been amazing having you. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Please do keep sharing. If you've shared the video, do keep sharing. Share to your network of parents. We do appreciate you coming back every Sunday to watch us or every other Sunday to watch us. Please keep an eye on this page because we are growing and we are having, the more you come and watch, the more we will be getting amazing parents like Soso Babes today to come and share their journeys.
Awesome. It's
Right.
been beautiful. Thank you, Ivy,
It's
for
been
hosting
amazing.
me. I really appreciate it. Sometimes it feels different when you're the one answering the questions, right? And
That's
again,
okay.
I'm happy to share. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, my darling. Thank you so much.
My
You
pleasure.
take care of yourselves and have an amazing, Soso Babes, have an amazing Sunday.
Amen. See you guys on Sunday Fun Day on the Roy Mama page. I will be there shortly.
See you later. Bye for now.
Bye bye.